Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So this is the third or fourth meeting between myself and Malorian. That means it's a long distance game since I live in the Midwest United States and he lives up in Canada. So we did a couple things differently. We wanted to try doing a real-time game rather than in the past we've uploaded pictures and just sent emails back and forth. This time we used Skype to again just have it real time. So we thought we'd do the Raze and Ruin scenario, which means that the defender sets up all the terrain and has to set up buildings in his half of the board, and up to half of your troops can actually be halfway up on the board, which I didn't do because I didn't see the benefit of doing it, with the exception of my Peg Knights. So most of my units are self-explanatory, so I'm not even going to say what I have except on characters or if I have anything special like that. Um, so basically, the Raze and Ruin scenario says that you win the game simply by controlling the buildings. There's a watchtower you set up that's worth 2 points, and then I have 3 buildings worth 1 point each. And it's a 7-turn game, and at the end, whoever has the most points wins. So my thinking was I can't stand toe-to-toe against Beastmen, and the defender only has 75% of the points that the attacker has. So he has 2,500 points, I have 1,850. I really can't stand toe-to-toe with that, but building rules are in some ways broken in that units are always steadfast in buildings. So my strategy was to take 2 big units of men-at-arms, put them in buildings, have a BSB nearby, so they'll be basically stubborn 8 rerollable, and after that I just need to make sure that I just keep the watchtower, another building, and make sure that we don't have too many combats so that he kills my guys dead. So um, I'm not 100% comfortable that that will always work. So a backup plan is I wanted to keep archers nearby, and I have a unit of Knights of the Realm with the prophetess that right now she's attached to those men-at-arms. She's got the Crown of Command and the icon of Quinella. So she's going to pop the icon, give those men-at-arms a ward save. Then she's going to join the Knights of the Realm, make them stubborn. And if I need to, I'll take my knights out, hold up a unit outside a building, and take a small unit of archers and grab the building. That's kind of like an end game strategy. So that's what I was thinking of. I have the prophetess, like I said. I have a battle standard bearer. He's got a 2-up rerollable. He's going to leave the Knight of the Realm unit and just sit there so he can give rerolls to the peasants. So that's Once Bitten's strategy going into this. Now, in fairness, Malorian sent me his list before I made my list, so I knew what he had, but at the same time I didn't study it, and I tried to make my list based on how I would build a defensive force for this scenario. I tried purposely not to match it to his list, but I did know it. He knew my list before the game as well, but not long before the game, the day of. So there's my general. It looks like that. And it begins. Now, my son had the headset on because my computer doesn't have a good microphone, so it was kind of a hassle. We would switch back and forth with the headset, and he would hold the little camera up trying to help Malorian see the table. And Malorian was a good sport about it. It could not have been easy seeing the table from the little camera. Anyway, he comes on. He enters the board just like from the back edge, and then can make a normal move up. That's why the game's 7 turns. So you can see he's got a couple chariots on the right. He's got 50 gore, and in with them is his general, and he's got a 2-up rerollable armor save and the Crown of Command. Got a Razor Gore, 40 Besta Gore. Behind them are some Ungor Raiders. Another Razor Gore to the left is another unit of 50 Gore with a level 4 Great Brave Shaman, Lore of Shadow. He's got a Dispel Scroll. And then on the left there's another Razor Gore. There's Harpies and Woods to the far right. There's another unit of 5 Ungor Raiders. I'm sorry, no. The Harpies are directly behind him. They're the black primed models. And he's got 5 Ungor Raiders to the far right, and then another 5 Ungor Raiders in ambush. So it looks something like that. Now his plan, he told me afterward, was to ignore the watchtower and grab the other 3 buildings. And bunched up so he could keep leadership rerolls nearby. Like I said, he's got a general in the right unit, Great Brave Shaman in the left unit. In the middle unit, he's got his battle standard bearer, and he's got basically a 2-up armor save. So just a close-up. And we go to Brett's turn 1. So the Peg Knights were not far away. I think I needed a 7 to charge one of the chariots. I love the idea of charging one chariot, um, forcing panic tests, and if they didn't fail that, I'd get an overrun into a second chariot and be behind his line. So I was very excited about that, but I failed the getting the 7 that I needed. I brought my prophetess out. She popped the icon, and she was going to leave the men-at-arms anyway. She came out to get in range so she could cast Dwellers Below. And it looks something like that. Basically, I wanted to get the middle unit, the big men-at-arms unit. They have the same ward save as the knights, so I wanted them matched up with the Bestigor. So my initial plan here, I just kind of reformed the men-at-arms. I didn't want to put them in the building because if I did, his units could declare a charge against the building, and if they rolled high enough, they'd be in combat turn 2. Whereas, as it stands now, they can't charge the building itself. Now, in this scenario, you can attack an empty building, and if they kill it, he gets the point for it. And you can look at the book for all those rules. But he can't charge to do that, so at least I don't think you can. So my feeling was I didn't want to be in the buildings until he was close enough that he could just occupy them if I wasn't in there. So this is a stone thrower, I think. I have 2 trebuchets on the field, and so we greatly reduced the Bestigor unit, which is fantastic. And we go to Beast turn 2. So his chariots both charge my Peg Knights, and I flee. He then charges with his Ungor Raiders, and I think what he was doing was he was forcing panic tests for my fast cav, and had they panicked, they might have run through my big unit of archers, and I mean he could have just cleared off this whole side of the board, but luckily I passed the panic test on 6, which is what the mounted yeomen need. Otherwise, he just moves up, as you can see. It looks something like that. Those are big units. I'm going to try his list in a game pretty soon. So during his magic phase, he got a Mind Razor off on this unit. I'm thinking, man, with Mind Razor, my strategy is not going to work because he will chop through it. It'll take him 2 rounds of combat, and I won't have a single guy left. But luckily, he got this one with Irresistible Force, which didn't matter because I don't plan on being in combat with those guys anyway. And his miscast result was he lost a wizard level and lost that spell. So that was absolutely huge for me that he no longer has Mind Razor. So we go to Brett's turn 2. You can see the battle standard bearer's out. Really, he's just trying to hide. My biggest fear is that he'll bring something behind my lines, like pull his general out of a unit and come down and kill my BSB. That's my biggest fear. Otherwise, I move the Knight of the Realm unit up and put the Prophetess in there, and I purposely put him so that his unit could charge these guys. Because my thinking is, one, I have the Lore of Life. I can regrow knights if I need to. Most of his attacks can be Strength 3, so very few are going to get through my armor saves. His general's at Strength 5, so he's going to kill a couple, but I think I can stay alive long enough. And I don't have to keep him tied up the whole game. I just need to make sure that those guys in the Watchtower can survive for 7 rounds. Now, the huge mistake I made was I didn't look closely enough at his army list, and his general brought a great weapon. So I saw that he didn't have a magic weapon, but I didn't pay attention to him having a great weapon. So it's Strength 7 with his rerolls. Yeah, maybe not such a great idea. Rally my Peg Knights, which I thought was nice. Mounted Yeoman charged his Harpies, and he just fled, so they're stuck there. And otherwise, for the most part, it just looks like that. So during I shoot a trebuchet at one of his units, I forget whatever, and it veers off and hits the building. Now, under these scenario rules, when a stone thrower hits a building, it does D6 Strength 10 hits on the unit and on the building. And remember, if the building gets destroyed, that's points for him. This building has 6 wounds. I hit it with my own damn rock. I do 5 wounds on it. Darn it. If it gets 1 more wound, he gets 2 victory points, and it's almost the game right there. The thing is, he can't attack the building as long as it's garrisoned. So if my guys break, it's probably a moot point, because if my guys break, he's going to garrison it anyway. But if another rock veers off, there's 2 victory points to him. So we go to Beast turn 3. He's tired of my trebuchets. He charges this one at the bottom with a Razor Gore. he charges his general's unit of gore not at the building, but he hits my knights, which I thought I was setting a trap for him, but it was kind of a stupid trap. This is what the left looks like. I think his Bestigor unit tried to charge the building with the archers, and they failed it. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And he brings a Razorgore up. Now, that Razorgore he brought up so that my men-at-arms couldn't charge through that gap and tie up his Bestigors out there, which would have been a great idea. I hadn't thought of it. I didn't have them positioned well anyway. I'm not sure they could fit and get the angle they need. But regardless, he brought the Razorgore in. But what I was really worried about is I don't need that Razorgore killing my battle standard bearer. And now, luckily, and I made sure of this because, again, it's a long-distance game, and so I'm always concerned that, can he see everything? I made sure he knew that he was right in front of my BSB and I'd have a flank charge on him, and he was okay with that. So this, again, when he charged it, I thought it was beautiful. He was succumbing to my plan. Yeah, and then the great weapon popped up, and that didn't excite me as much. So we go to Beast turn 3. He charges my mounted yeomen. They fail one dangerous terrain test in their flee move. Otherwise, everything is as you can see it. Yeah, during the magic phase, everything was okay here. He got enfeebling foe and miasma, which doesn't really matter because I don't plan on doing many wounds to him. All I need my unit to do is pass armor saves and pass a stubborn 8 rerollable. That's all I need. And I have like 3 blurry pictures in a row. So he killed 3 knights. Not too awful bad, but if he does that every round of combat, I'm not going to be able to keep up with my regrowth. So, yeah, that's the great weapon really hurt me. This one was awesome. His Razorgore charged in. How does a Razorgore charge a Trebuchet and not kill it enough, and then to not have them break? I mean, they're only leadership 5. But he had a charge. My peasants did 2 wounds on him. Now, he may have had a wound coming into it from shooting. I just don't remember. But whatever, it was awesome. And I think he had a charge. We did at least 1 wound, and everybody stuck. So the Trebuchet is going to die, but I thought it was pretty cool. They held up a Razorgore for a turn. And we go to Brett's turn 3. Yeah, there's really no movement on my part on this side of the board because I just want to occupy those buildings, and everything else, like shooting, is just, just to be a nuisance to him. I did go ahead and charge his Razorgore. He has toughness 5. I'm only strength 4. I don't think I'm going to get 3 wounds on him. What I'm hoping to do is beat him through combat res. I have a banner, a flank, and a charge, and I have a 2-up rerollable, so he may not get any wounds on me. I still should win by a few. The problem is he's got his general and his battle standard bearer nearby. My fast cav failed to rally. They flee through my Trebuchet, and these guys pass their leadership 5 test, so they don't cower, which I appreciated. Blurry picture, sorry about that. My Peg Knights charge a chariot. They beat the chariot. The Harpies fail their panic test. The other chariot loves it. His general's nearby. And they just get 1 insignificant threat off the table. Now, I mean, I could have done... My Peg Knights could have gone towards his general's unit and tried to help out there, but I really didn't think they would contribute a whole lot. This is where things took an ugly turn. Yeah, he killed a few more, which isn't the end of the day. I wasn't able to raise any of my magic phase, which wasn't helping me, but then I failed my stubborn 8 rerollable. So now that sucks. And what really sucks is that was my turn. So on his turn, all he has to do is charge his general out and push that unit of knights off the table, which the knights himself I don't have to have, but not having a level 4 is really going to hurt the magic phase. It's going to give him a decided advantage there. We go to this. Yeah, you can see we traded wounds. I think he needed a 6, and he passed it. Didn't even take the reroll, he just passed it. So then he turns to face me. I don't need to win that, I just need to stay alive. The Trebuchet died, but that was no surprise. We go to Beast turn 4, he charges his general out, pushes my general off the table. It's not a deal breaker, but that's tough. Otherwise it looks like this. Yeah, the rightmost charged my archers. I think they both did, and in the pursuit made them face each other. It looks like they're shaking hands, But they took two Razorgores. They took out my leftmost unit of archers. Those are my wound markers. I'm very happy with them. And I like using shields for them because they can be different so I don't get confused when they have multiple wounds on multiple models. Over here you can see I actually did one more wound to the Razorgore. He's sitting on one wound. And that's with Enfeebling Foe on my BSB. So very happy with that. His Bestigores are duking it out with my men-at-arms. You know, his guys are going to do a lot more wounds to me than I am to him. But that unit started out at, I want to say 40, maybe 45. It's a pretty big men-at-arms unit. What I have in the building, what you see there, isn't all that I have. There's a whole back tray to it. So he's going to kill more than I am, but I might win that war of attrition. What's nice about buildings, too, is we're not fighting every turn. We're only fighting on his turn. So Brett's turn forward. Not a whole lot I can do here. My archer's turn so they can shoot at his general. He's got a 2-up rerollable. I don't really expect any wounds to go through, but you might as well try. Yeah, that hurt. Yeah, there's the game. I mean, Razorgore kills my battle standard bearer. Now I've got, if I keep those two buildings, I've won the game. But we still have 3 turns left, and now my guys are going to be stubborn 5 or 6 with no reroll. And there's just not a chance in hell that's going to happen. So good. A beast turn 5, chariot charges my archers, but it's insignificant. Razorgore moves over. Nothing matters. His general joins his unit. They do not try that building. What I realized later, what he's doing there, is he's just going to ignore that building, reform, and go for this lower building. And then, again, my leftmost building should be easy. The Bestigores are trying to take a building. If the Bestigores can get that building, he'll have 3, and there's the game, and he doesn't have to have the watchtower. I'm actually okay with that. Worst case scenario, what I'll have to do is just vacate this, just see if I can figure out a way to swap my men-at-arms units. Over here, the archers are not in front of the building, they're in the building, and he tried to charge it with his gore unit. He needed to roll a 3, and he rolled snake eyes. And I was really glad at my son, here witnessing the rolls. I was like, I'm not lying to you, I promise. You rolled snake eyes. My plan after this was to pull the archers out, because on his next turn he couldn't walk into the building. The most he could do is maybe, get close to it so next time he could walk into it. But with my archers not in the building, he can't charge it. But then I forgot to. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, looks like this. He kills 5 of my guys. I do no wounds back. Steadfast on a 5, and we pass, which I thought was fortunate. Sorry for the blurry picture. And here, again, we're leadership 6, no reroll. Bestigores win combat, and my guys leave the building. And that's pretty much it. So I charge his Razorgore. My men-at-arms run out the building. Now that's really it. Now there's no way I can keep any of those other 3 buildings. It looks like that. Kill the Razorgore. And at the end of the game, we just called it at that. It wasn't going to be fun at that point. He has this bottommost building. He has the second building. His big gore unit reformed so they could move towards building. You just have to be the closest unit within 12 inches. So he's got all 3 buildings. I have the watchtower. He doesn't need to take the watchtower at that point. And that was the end of it. So, losing my general's unit was just kind of silly. But it wasn't the game breaker. Losing the battle standard bearer was the game breaker. Now, if he had killed the Razorgore, all Malorian really had to do was turn his Beast Lord around, and I don't know. I would have been dancing around the building, staying out of line of sight as a general. Anyway, it was a real fun game. It was fun trying out a new scenario. I'm interested in Malorian's feedback on how it was on his end fighting a long distance game via Skype. On our end, we just need a better camera that could give a better view of the battlefield and get some kind of stand so that the camera can just sit there and we can move it as needed. But as it was, my son, it was 3 hours of him holding this camera up and moving it around all over the table. So overall, I like it. I like it that it's real time, and it felt like more of a real game with Malorian because we were talking the whole time and stuff like that. But a few kinks left out. The nice thing is if we can figure this out, then it will allow for a lot of opportunities for those of us who know each other only through the internet, whether it's YouTube or Warseer or whatever, to be able to get some games in this way. So anyway, that was it. Hope you enjoyed it.